Yet another video అంటే మధ్యలో we gave a lot of gap అన్నమాట. I was stuck with some things. You were actually quite enthusiastically researching on a lot of topics కానీ we
Yeah.
just didn't find time to do it. So it's almost 2 weeks, almost close to 2 weeks since Chinese GP got over కదా.
Yeah.
And we
అవును.
had an eventful sprint. Gani, yeah, eventually in
అవును.
a 20 lap race, if the finisher, the first top guy is finishing 13 seconds ahead, ante, I don't know what to look for competition in that. But the race was also pretty much the same thing, but there was enough drama in the race itself. So, what was
అవును.
your
అవును.
take on the Chinese Grand Prix itself? First things first, it was return of the Chinese Grand Prix, kada?
అవును. అవును.
Yeah, yeah,
ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్టర్ 4 years ఐ థింక్ ప్రీ కోవిడ్ లోని అయింది, 2019 లో అయింది, విచ్ వాస్ అగైన్ డామినేటెడ్ బై వర్స్టాపెన్ ఐ థింక్ బ్యాక్ దెన్ as well. సో యా, బట్ ఇట్ వాజ్ అంటే నువ్వు చెప్పినట్టే చాలా ఈవెంట్ఫుల్ ఆర్ యాక్షన్ ప్యాక్డ్ స్ప్రింట్ అట్లీస్ట్, బికాస్ యా దట్ వాజ్ సంథింగ్ దట్ ఐ వాజ్ లైక్ keenly looking forward to. And yeah, pole kuda I think Lando Norris pole, and then
yeah.
Hamilton started second. And even the first corner lone, I think there was some action where
Action,
Lando
correct.
Norris kind of went wide, and but yeah, I think within a few laps only you understood that okay, it's again going to be a Red Bull kind of a thing,
Yeah.
Verstappen kind of thing. But
Only
I think
difference
Alonso
being,
again chala baga.
only difference
Yeah,
being
yeah.
it was not a 1-2 of Red Bull. It was
అవును.
Max and then Hamilton. Kabatti that was a change.
అవును. అవును. బట్ అదే కొన్ని అంటే 2-3 laps తర్వాత నాకు అనిపించింది మేబీ హ్యామిల్టన్ కెన్ యాక్చువల్లీ విన్ దిస్ ఏమో అనిపించింది. బట్ యా దెన్ హీ లాక్డ్ అప్ అండ్ వర్స్టాపెన్
Yeah,
ఓవర్టేక్ చేస్తాడు. బట్ ఐ థింక్ అలాన్సో, ఐ మీన్ యూ ఆల్వేస్ వండర్ కదా ఏంటి, హీఈస్ ఆల్రెడీ 40+ అండ్ హీస్ జస్ట్ సైన్డ్ అనదర్ కాంట్రాక్ట్. బట్ యా, బై ద రేస్ క్రాఫ్ట్ యుల్ సీ అనమాట వై హీస్ సో ప్యాషనెట్ అబౌట్
yeah, yeah. I
స్పోర్ట్స్
was
అంటే
hoping a better
ఫార్ములా
result
వన్.
for him, even in sprint. Gani,
అవును.
I think Sergio Perez took advantage of him, and who was the other guy that was racing with him?
సైన్స్
Yes,
అండ్ అలోన్సో
Love
రేస్
Science and
చేస్తుంటే
Alonso races
యా,
with the Perez took advantage of that.
yeah,
So,
Perez took advantage of it. And then I
yeah,
think Alonso ki puncture, he had a
yeah,
puncture and then he had to pit. Yeah, yeah.
right.
But I mean, the whole point of us watching Formula One is to see such action, kada, on track. It's not
Correct.
just fastest car elli, like it'll overtake everybody. I mean, it's need not even overtake annattuga undakunda. We are looking forward for some action, so that's what we
True,
got in
true,
the sprint at least. Yeah.
true, true. Yeah.
Um,
But I think what do you expect out of Miami and Chinese GP lo? Was there something that you saw that kind of made you feel, hey, okay, there's some hope on it, not finishing first, obviously, but then the other racers, Gani, and things like that.
Yeah, I think even obviously midfield, when you see, it's always been Haas is actually doing quite well. I think Hulkenberg was also again very racy in the sprint at least. But yeah, I mean, even in the case of Miami, I think Red Bull is going to dominate. There's no doubt about it. And Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, usual గా they'll juggle కదా, ఒక వీకెండ్ ఒకళ్ళు ముందు ఫినిష్
Yeah.
అవుతే ఇంకో వీకెండ్ ఇంకొకళ్ళు అనేసి. సో బట్ ఐఎమ్ ఎక్స్పెక్టింగ్ అట్లీస్ట్ ఇట్ షుడ్ బి a lot more action packed. But of course, Miami again is a street and a kind of a street circuit. But last year, I think it had some action purely, I think, because Verstappen ninth start, he got to overtake a lot of people last year.
Yeah.
So, but I'm hoping something similar happens this year where we get some action on track. Yeah.
And Chinese CP lo, the homeboy kind of got 1 point and kind of closed his. Gone you finished 10th kada or 11th?
Uh, he just missed out, I think. He finished
Okay.
11th.
11th,
point.
okay.
Yeah.
That emotion kind of made you understand kada at the end of the race. I mean, how important it is for somebody racing in their home.
Yeah.
Home.
Yeah,
Nice,
and
nice.
I think social మీడియాలోనే నేను ఒక ఫోటో చూసాను అనమాట. ఐ థింక్ హీ ఓన్లీ పోస్టెడ్ ఇట్, ఐ గెస్ 20 years
Okay.
బ్యాక్ ఒక ఫ్యాన్ లాగా చైనీస్ గ్రాండ్ ప్రీకి వచ్చి జోగ్వాన్యూ ఫోటో ఉందన్నమాట, ఒక చిన్న
Okay,
యంగ్
okay.
కిడ్ వెరింగ్ స్పెక్టికల్స్. సో ఫర్ హిమ్ టు యాక్చువల్లీ రీచ్ ది
Reach, yeah,
గ్రిడ్ యాజ్ అ
pinnacle of it,
డ్రైవర్
and
అండ్ రేస్. యా,
yeah,
యా.
yeah. And what was the issue between Daniel Ricciardo and Stroll? I mean, I didn't
Oh.
see Daniel Ricciardo so irritated for a while.
Yeah. So అదే ఇన్ఎవిటబుల్ గా రికార్డో ఆల్వేస్ అట్రాక్ట్స్ సచ్ లక్ అనుకుంటాను. సో యా, ఇట్ వాస్ లైక్ ఐ థింక్ వర్చువల్ సేఫ్టీ కార్ ఆర్ సేఫ్టీ కార్ అండ్ దే వర్ గోయింగ్ ఫర్ రీస్టార్ట్ అండ్ రికార్డో వెనకాతల స్ట్రాల్ ఉన్నాడు. అండ్ అదే ఇట్స్ లైక్ డ్రైవింగ్ 101 అంటారు చూడు. సో వెన్ యు ఆర్ బిహైండ్ అనదర్ కార్, యూ డోంట్ రన్ ఇన్ టు ఇట్ బై లుకింగ్ సమ్వేర్ ఎల్స్. సో స్ట్రాల్ అపరెంట్ గా made a very rookie error where he was not looking ahead, but he was looking towards the right into the corner, and someone braked. I think Sainz ever brake cheste. It was a ripple effect. So Andaru had to brake to avoid each other, but Stroll, as usual, he ran into the back of Ricardo, and that resulted in, I think, Ricardo not finishing. So
But Ricardo was, I think, was okay during that. Boy, I just saw that interview where in that interview he said Stroll was unhappy that you braked, and you see, Akkada he completely cut loose, and he was like pretty upset over that
yeah.
comment itself. So, but yeah.
I think,
But
yeah, both
apart
are
from
under pressure, kada. Even Ricardo, if you see, Ricardo needs to at least finish
yeah,
ahead of Sunoda. So if someone else's mistake వల్ల రిటైర్ అవ్వాల్సి వచ్చింది అని అంటే ఆబ్వియస్లీ ఆ ఫ్రస్ట్రేషన్ బయటకు వస్తుంది. అండ్ స్ట్రాల్ కూడా, అంటే మనం ట్రోలింగ్ అదంతా చూస్తాం కదా. సో స్ట్రాల్ ఇస్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ది మోస్ట్ ట్రోల్డ్ F1 డ్రైవర్స్ ఆన్ ది గ్రిడ్. సో
okay.
యా.
Can you, do you really think
సారీ,
Stroll
నువ్వేదో
would have made?
చెప్తున్నా.
Do you think Stroll would have made it if not for his dad and them owning the I mean the constructor team itself?
No, I doubt. ఎందుకంటే there are examples enough in the past where Stroll definitely got more chances than what an other racer who doesn't have such kind of a wealthy family or someone who owns a team. And Stroll కూడా అంటే without achieving much in the junior classes, he made his F1 debut, I think, at the age of 18, similar to Verstappen. But at least
Okay.
Verstappen is considered a very child prodigy type anamata in racing, whereas Stroll was not that, but he still got an opportunity just because I think Lawrence Stroll invested in Williams initially.
And
So
it's
yeah,
like
it's purely
in a way, మనం మన రెఫరెన్స్ తీసుకుంటే whenever you're not good at a subject, మనం వెళ్ళి ఆ స్కూల్ టీచర్ నే జాయిన్ అయిపోతాం కదా. సో he had Sebastian Vettel as his other driver, now Alonso for the next extended period.
yeah.
So he's getting his time with all the legends. You're not sure where he's going to eventually end up in history. Probably. That was one thing.
So I
Tarvata
think
then.
it can be looked at in two ways
No, good, good.
anamata. So yeah. So Lawrence Stroll obviously owns a team and he wants to win with that team. So
Yeah.
obviously he would want to win with his own son. So వాళ్ళ కొడుకును obviously అందుకే Formula 1 రేసర్ చేశాడు. ఎందుకు అని అంటే he wants him to win a championship. But I think having the likes of multiple championship winners like Alonso and Vettel on the other side of the garage is purely to ensure that they get the maximum out of the investment. If not his son, at least the other person ensures them of a good result type.
Yeah, and this, I mean, they stay relevant. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's about the race. But then, apart from the race, there was some news about the on Red Bull, somebody resigning and all of that.
So Adrian Newey ani Red Bull's chief designer, and he has been with the team for almost like 2 decades now. So I think Red
Okay.
Bull start అయినప్పుడే he joined them as their chief designer, and Adrian Newey is considered the father of aerodynamics అనమాట, అంటే if you can call it that. ఎందుకంటే he has been with McLaren previously. he was
Mm.
with Williams during the time of Ayrton Senna and stuff like that. So
Okay, okay,
చాలా
okay,
well-known designer who's known for building cars which have won championships అన్నమాట. So Red Bull's dominance
okay,
కి చాలా పెద్ద hand was played by Adrian Newey అన్నమాట. Right from the days of Vettel winning the championship to the recent domination. So
okay,
yeah, అది చాలా
okay.
పెద్ద షాక్ అన్నమాట. And all the Horner saga actually resulted in, I think, some sort of a destabilization within the Red Bull team. And Adrian Newey, I think he's a very no nonsense. తనది ఒక బుక్ ఉందన్నమాట, హౌ టు బిల్డ్ అ కార్ అని చెప్పి, ఫార్ములా 1 మీద, ఏరోడైనమిక్స్ మీద. సో హీఈస్ అ వెరీ నో నాన్సెన్స్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అ గై అండ్ ఓల్డ్ స్కూల్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అ గై అనమాట.
Okay, okay,
సో
okay.
ఐ థింక్ ఆ ఇన్స్టెబిలిటీ తనకి నచ్చలేదేమో బహుశా. సో అందుకే హీ డిసైడెడ్ టు మేబీ మూవ్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ రెడ్ బుల్. అండ్
This is
బట్
the
ది
same
ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ థింగ్
person
ఇస్
that.
వేర్ విల్ హీ గో.
Okay. So I was just coming to that same point, Anmata, which is you were saying and the same guy, right? That Aston Martin are trying to poach and I say,
అవును, అవును, అవును.
yeah.
So yeah, even Ferrari and Aston Martin are vying for his idanta signature. So it will be interesting to see what he does. But one more thing to note is, although he'll immediately step back from his duties in Red Bull Formula One team, but he's still contracted with them till first quarter of 2025. సో
Okay,
ఇప్పుడు కొత్త
okay.
టీం జాయిన్ అయినా సరే హీల్ నాట్ బి ఏబుల్ టు మేక్ మచ్ ఆఫ్ అన్ ఇంపాక్ట్ ఇమీడియట్లీ. సో హీల్ ప్రాబబ్లీ డూ
So
ఇట్ వెన్ ద రెగ్యులేషన్స్ చేంజ్ ఇన్ 2026 బేసిక్గా. సో
it's okay. That kind of works for
యా,
them, kada,
యా,
which means you have a set car
అవును,
in Red Bull. So yeah, maybe once those
యా,
new regularities come in, then everything has to change. And kada, the real challenge kicks in. No?
అవును, అవును,
And one other
యా,
question I had for you, again, moving topics, is Hulkenberg signed for Kicksauber, kada, which is the one that Audi is
అవును,
going to
అవును.
take over
Audi
in
is
a
going
year.
to take over. Yeah, yeah,
So Audi is
అవును.
taking over in about a year, is it? So it's like Carlos Sainz, if he wants to join, he doesn't have to have a stopgap year by any means.
I believe next year నుంచే it will be renamed. Kicksauber will be renamed as Audi అనుకుంటాను.
Okay,
With a substantial investment coming in from Audi. So yeah,
okay.
Hulkenberg is obviously a German driver, and Audi is a German manufacturer kada.
German, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Carlos Sainz, I think, will go there if Red Bull doesn't offer him. I believe that's the. ఎందుకంటే recent rumors again suggested that he's in negotiations with Red Bull to take Perez's place.
But
So it'll be interesting to
would
see where he ends up.
your opinion about the fact that is Carlos Sainz not deserved enough to have be looked upon as the primary driver if he goes to Red Bull? He's also going to be a second fiddle to Max Mallikada. You think?
అవునవును. సో ఆబ్వియస్లీ రెడ్ బుల్లోని మ్యాక్స్ కి అంటే నంబర్ 1 స్టేటస్ ఇస్ అ గివెన్. సో whoever ends
Correct.
up there, unless probably someone like Hamilton ending up there, I don't think anyone else would get the number 1 status. బట్ స్టాండ్ గా మనం కార్లోస్ సైన్స్ యాజ్ అ రేసర్ ని చూస్తే ఐ థింక్ హీ డెఫినెట్లీ డిజర్వ్స్ టు బీ అ టీమ్ లీడర్ ఇన్ టీమ్ అనమాట. సో
Yeah.
దట్స్ ప్రాబబ్లీ వేర్ ఆడీ కమ్స్ ఇన్. ఎందుకంటే ఆడీ హల్కన్బర్గ్ ఆబ్వియస్లీ ఈజ్ ఆల్రెడీ ప్రిటీ old from an F1 driver age standpoint. So, and
Correct.
he hasn't won anything actually. I think he hasn't even podiumed in Formula One. He has spent close to a decade plus.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, maybe that might entice him to go to Sauber instead of Red Bull. But again, I mean, it all depends on 2026 because ఎందుకంటే next year కూడా Red Bull will dominate. So even if
Yeah.
Sainz finds a stopgap in Red Bull, he'll end up winning a few races, but he'll obviously not be able to challenge Max for
Talent.
a
Yeah.
championship fight, I guess. So,
Okay. Right. 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 Okay. Which will be interesting to see, I think, how it pans out and everything.
um,
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And
Inka
with the
Sudan.
whole rumor of Verstappen being offered a brand ambassador role at Mercedes and even $150 million contract, ఎక్కడో నేను చదివాను that Toto Wolff has offered a 150 million per year contract to Verstappen. Yeah, again, Adrian Newey news might actually tempt Verstappen also out అనిపిస్తుంది నాకు. ఎందుకంటే Mercedes has a pretty గుడ్ టెక్నికల్ టీమ్ అనమాట. జేమ్స్ ఎల్లిసన్ అని చెప్పి ఒక డిజైనర్ ఉన్నాడు. సో
Okay.
he's obviously been the backbone of Mercedes during the domination of Hamilton and Rosberg era.
Hamilton. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, if Verstappen also leaves, then Christian Horner అనుకుంటాడేమో ఇదంతా ఎందుకు చేశాను నేను, నా టీం అంతా ఇప్పుడు వెళ్ళిపోయింది, నేను ఒక్కడే ఉన్నాను అని.
But he is, after all, the guy that built the team, kada. So maybe he has to start from scratch. Only. So, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, maybe.
what are the normal challenges that a new team would face if they are coming into Formula One? And now, Kicksauber, they will take over, and the technology of Kicksauber is taken over. Like, but they will
Yes,
not get
yes.
any. Okay.
I think
So
the
it's
factory as it is going to be taken over. So there is a factory called Hinwil in a place in Switzerland, which is where Sauber actually BMW Sauber అని ఒక ముందు ఉండేది, రాబర్ట్
yeah,
క్యూబిక్సా,
yeah,
నిక్ హైడ్ఫెల్డ్.
yeah,
సో పీటర్
yeah.
సోబర్ అని ఒక పర్సన్ యాక్చువల్లీ యూస్ టు రన్ దిస్. సో ఇట్ ఇస్ స్టిల్ ద సేమ్ ఫ్యాక్టరీ అనమాట. సో ఆల్ ద ఫిజికల్ లొకేషన్ వైజ్ అంతా సేమే ఉంటుంది. మేబీ ఆడి విల్ పంప్ ఇన్ అ బిట్ ఆఫ్ మనీ అండ్ మేబీ అ బిట్ ఆఫ్ టెక్నాలజీ as well to try and improve. But ఒక ఛాలెంజ్ అంటే obviously to hire the right people. ఇప్పుడు obviously
Got it.
Adrian Newey, how his role is very important in Red Bull being a dominant force. So Kicksauber also needs to invest in people from multiple, like be it electronics, be it data, crunching of all the data that's collected, etc. So Audi might actually help with the money and the whole technology part of it. అనుకుంటున్నాను నేనైతే.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I think as we get more details, then I'll have more questions on these things.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then I think that Miami, it starts off in about 2 days time, kada, the qualifying and all of it. And so now technically the Asian part, APAC part of the season is over, and now we will move into Europe and Amar regions, kada, mostly.
Americas,
Yeah, Americas region. So yeah. So Miami tarvata what has lined up? Tarvata is it Brazil or
even
something?
I have to check.
Okay.
I didn't
But
check
yeah,
actually
anyways, so the races henceforward will mostly be in the late evenings for us. So that's what we have to know
Yes,
as Indian audience, and
correct.
for you probably it's more beneficiary because it will be in line with
Early
your
morning,
time, early morning,
yeah.
or
Sunday
late
early
afternoon,
mornings
emo
also.
kada.
Yeah. Basically first half of Sunday loni
First of
races
the
జరుగుతుంది. Whereas for India, I think it's the evenings of
evening of
Sundays.
the
So
yeah, right. Right. So, but already 6 races అయిపోయింది అనేది లుక్స్ సర్ప్రైజింగ్ యాక్చువల్లీ. అప్పుడే అయిపోయిందా అనేసి. అండ్ ద పాయింట్స్ టేబుల్
కార్తిక్,
చూస్తే యా
నేను నిన్నే చూస్తుంటే ఆల్రెడీ 1/3 ఆఫ్ ది ఇయర్ ఇస్ డన్ అని నేను ఎక్కడో చదివాను. సో ఐ వాజ్ షాక్డ్ అనమాట.
సో ఈవెన్ విత్ ద సీజన్ కూడా ఐ మీన్ యూ డోంట్ రియలైజ్ కదా హౌ క్విక్లీ టైమ్ గోస్ బై అనేసి. దట్స్ వాట్ ఇట్ ఇస్. That said, yeah, I think we'll keep doing this. We actually hope for doing a separate preview for Miami, but then we didn't find time or a slot for us, so we'll probably stop it with this, and we'll probably catch up maybe a little earlier itself, not give so much gap after the race to do a review, so that, in fact, చాలా honest చెప్పాలంటే we are both getting old, so we had to go back and check the race before we did this video to actually remember what had happened. So yep. Okay then. Thanks all for watching. Yeah, we'll catch up soon.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll
Thank
catch
you.
up
Bye.
soon. Bye.